what is going on at YouTube. You are tuned into the real Michael Pullman YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about that big New South Wales Blues 50 points to 6 pummeling of Queensland, and I'm going to just give my reactions. First thing to say, I am a rugby union boy, so immediately that will probably discount my views to a lot of people out there on the internet. I know more about rugby union. I cover rugby union for a living as a sports journalist, and I am based in New Zealand. Rugby league is big here, but it's not as big as it is over there in Australia. So take what I say with a grain of salt. This is just me after I've watched the game, having a talk about it. So the New South Wales, that was a very good performance. They absolutely deserve the rewards that they'll get. There was a lot of talk coming into the game about high tackles and about players lying down, etc., etc. Thankfully, there wasn't much, in my mind, there wasn't much controversy to take away. We didn't see a player sent off, thank God. And the atmosphere was, as you'd expect, it was pure Origin. Massive crowd in Townsville. I was a wee bit worried when it got moved from Melbourne. I think it was originally going to be, but boy, those Maroon fans, they showed up in absolute droves, as you'd expect. And again, this was always going to be a tough match for Queensland. They didn't have the greatest squad heading in. They've got a new coach. New South Wales had it all. They had arguably their strongest team. But again, we saw that last year, didn't we? Queensland had a pretty bad team and they still won the series. So this, the thing that really impressed me about the Blues last night was their intensity, number one, and that was what flowed on to their execution. That they were just in the game, their heads were in the game 95% of the time, and I felt that Queensland, did I say New South Wales or Queensland? New South Wales I'm talking about. I love their intensity, whereas Queensland, I just felt they, particularly up the middle of the park, they just weren't able to get a whole lot going their way. When they went out wide, they looked good. Their kicking game was decent as well, and they did get into New South Wales territory a lot. They just didn't capitalise. They came away with 6 points. They really should have came away with probably 18, maybe even 22 points. I still think on the scoreboard New South Wales would have won, obviously scoring 50 points, but Queensland just didn't take their opportunities. And the other thing that was super impressive, and it's because of the intensity and how engaged the team were and how they were playing for each other, they were well tuned, they came in ready. The passes, man, the passes were sticking, and they were spotting gaps and they were taking it on, and they were doing it. Latrell Mitchell was great. The young guy on debut with the long hair, fantastic. Really physical as well. Queensland were out physical in this game. And that will be hard for fans of this team to stomach, but they were. They were out muscled and they were out executed, and they didn't take the opportunities that came to them, bar one. Really. And again, on defense, they didn't help themselves. The first 2 Blues tries came off the back of Queensland penalties where players were not even looking at the ball. They were taking out the jumper, the first one, and then the runner on the outside out of your own car. They took him out. You know, you're not going to get away with that, and you will get punished at this level. So, game one, New South Wales all the way. They thoroughly deserved it, and it is quite bizarre, to see a game in Queensland be that dominated. I mean, that won't happen at Suncorp Stadium. I mean, if the Maroons lose at Suncorp, I don't think they will in game two. I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll win. Um, this game being in Townsville, deep in Queensland country, that was hyped up a lot in the pre-show. I still think it was a bit of an anomaly. It was going to be a massive Queensland crowd, but it's not Suncorp. It's not that fortress, and I don't know, just from the outside looking in, I don't know if it G'd up that team, that Maroons team, that grows another league in front of their home fans. They're a bit like the All Blacks, in that sense. But it didn't happen in Townsville. And I think they weren't nearly as clinical as they needed to be fair. Whereas New South Wales were, Cleary. That guy, is just on form right now. He's thoroughly deserving. He's a great half. But there is, looking ahead to game two, there is cause for concern because you won't see that performance again from Queensland. They will rise up for Suncorp. I think they'll win at Suncorp. But they've got a lot of work to do. No, and again, the handling errors. That's another one. There were so many Queensland handling errors of fairly innocuous, fairly simple passes, at the end of the day. So that's another thing. That's your execution, that's your intensity, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way on the park. And I think final comments in terms of my reaction to this, I'm so glad we didn't see a player sent off. We didn't see players lying down. It felt like a launching match. It didn't feel soft in any way. The new rules with the high tackle and all that that is a discussion point for another day, but I was worried that some of the spice of Origin would be lacking in this game because of it, but it didn't feel like that to me. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for future videos. I'll be talking about Game 2 of State of Origin. I'll be talking about some rugby union coming up next week. And until then, stay safe, take care, and dream, believe, achieve, because you can achieve if you believe. That is the motto we live by here on this channel. We'll see you in the next one. Who do you think will win Game 2? What did you think about the Blues whipping the behind of Queensland in their own Queensland country? I don't think you'll see that again at Suncorp. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know. MP for life.